discuss phytocannabinoid diols, and then I have another slide on ingredients, and then they're going to kick me off the stage. So phytocannabinoid diols. Why do we say phytocannabinoid diols? It's kind of a complex thing. There is pure CBD, now has a drug application for it, and the definition of that is it's like a 99% pure synthetic CBD. Natural sources with multiple cannabinoids are still not that drug. And so we normalize or set the concentrations there according to a class of compounds called phytocannabinoid diols. So a diol, like cannabidiol, will have, now if JT had a good laser for me, this would be easy. They have 2 hydroxide groups, OH. See the OH on the top and the OH on the going sort of the bottom left. That's cannabidiol. Now the one below it, that's supposed to be cannabidiol. No, that's the one below it. Oh, sorry. The one below it is CBDV. I didn't type that in there right. Cannabidiol, CBDV, also is a diol. You see the 2 hydroxides, but a shorter carbon chain. Then below that is CBDA, which just is an unheated version of CBD. You see the 2 hydroxides, and then on the side there's a carboxylic acid, there's an OOH. And on the bottom is cannabidiol, they call it the mother of cannabinoids. It's the one that all the others are made from in the plant. And also 2 hydroxides. So a diol has 2 hydroxides versus tetrahydrocannabinol has 1 hydroxide. So those are the diols. And when it says total phytocannabinoid diols, it's the sum of all of those. All right? This is a really nice mix. And it's very rare to find things, especially like the second one, I know it doesn't say CBDV, but that's CBDV. It's a really precious one. And that's at 8%. The CBD is around 90%. CBDA is about 0.5, and CBG is running around 2. Each of these batches varies a little bit, but that's your general outlay, and that's what phytocannabinoid diols are, and that's why we use that term instead of just looking at cannabidiol. Right? And THC content in this product is tested at below 0.002%. THC free. That is a big deal.
Yeah.
Now, remember, there's confusion. Is this an oil? Now, yeah, we're calling it hemp oil. We do a lot of things. We call it liposome, we call it hemp oil, just for simplicity. But it's not. It's a nano-emulsification of hemp oil. Remember, the CBD is in that particle, and down in the container down there, those particles are dispersed in the water, glycerin, ethanol matrix. So if somebody asks, well, what percent CBD is your hemp oil? That's not what you're talking about. You're taking an oil that the sources are between 60 and 80% CBD. You're putting it in those little nanoparticles, dispersing those into water. The net final solution is 0.8%. Don't get stuck talking about what percent CBD your product is. That's a non-discussion. That's like putting CBD in MCT and diluting it out. You're just making it, because otherwise you'd be taking this like tiny little bit. You're only, what's your dose? 6, 12, 20 milligrams max. That's a tiny amount. You need it dispersed into something, and we're dispersing it into something that has super high uptake. All right? Now, back to ingredients. And this is these are ratings from the Environmental Working Group. I know it's a little hard to read that. But these are the different ingredients. And the Environmental Working Group is a great group that looks at ingredients and cosmetics and foods and rates them according to their hazards. You know, how toxic is this thing? And it's a 1 to 10 scale, where 1's the best rating and 10 is the worst rating. And so we put, and you're gonna see more liposomes and emulsions come out of cannabinoids, and you want to look at what are the qualities of these things. So at the top is phosphatidylcholine. Phosphatidylcholine, when it's a purified one, like the 90% source that we're using, gets a ranking of 1, the safest there is. And on the right, I have the dollar value. It's very expensive. It's 30 to 40 times more expensive than raw lecithin. Below that, vitamin E TPGS. I come to find that in the vitamin industry, they just call this vitamin E. I used to call it what it was, vitamin E TPGS, tocopherol, polyethylene glycol, succinate. Now, people get worried about that because there's polyethylene glycol attached to vitamin E. But as with all things, danger or lack thereof is a matter of quality. Polyethylene glycol, it turns out, is not a problem. What is a problem with things like polysorbates, like polysorbate 80 and 60, and other pegs like pegylated castor oil. The problem with them are the impurities in them. There are things called dioxanes, which are carcinogens in cheap pegs. Now, TPGS was made for children that lacked bile production. That's called cholestasis. Cholestatic children could not extract vitamin E from food, and they would eventually get incredibly ill from vitamin E deficiency and die. So they made a water-soluble vitamin E so that they could drink that and absorb it in the GI tract. It was already emulsified for them, like the bile salts would do. Now they, to restore their status, were taking between 4 and 6 grams of this pure TPGS per day, sometimes for up to 2 years. To have a safety profile worthy of doing this, they had to get the most expensive grades of PEG to do this. And that's why Environmental Working Group rated this ingredient a 1. You cannot do any better. It is clean, clean, clean. And even good friends of mine have to ask that. We're used to trigger words, like soy, a trigger word, PEG, a trigger word. But trust me on the sourcing of all these things. I mean, even you compare that right below that, raw lecithin is a 3 to 4. The pegylated castor oils are 5s, and polysorbate a 3. So these ingredients are all highly, highly vetted. And the doctors I hang out with range from guys who work in the Cleveland Clinic to guys who are totally esoteric. And everybody comes to the conclusion that these are the best products possible. So now, what's on everybody's mind out here is, oh my God, he's got Quicksilver hemp oil and he's selling that. It's cheaper than mine. What am I going to do? Wasn't that on your mind? Yeah. Yeah. Well, what did I do? I made you a better product. Keep the price the same. 33% more phytocannabinoid diols in there now. There's 400 milligrams per bottle, 16 milligrams instead of 12 in your 4 pumps.